The fluorescent lights hum softly overhead, casting a tired glow over the aisles of the local drugstore cafe. It's 7:42 p.m. on a Wednesday. The world outside is dipped in snowmelt and silence, a small Midwestern town at the tail end of winter. Inside, the clatter of dishes and the hiss of an old espresso machine cut through the quiet. Claire Donovan, 38, moves briskly behind the counter. Her apron is smudged with coffee stains, and her eyes, framed by strands of hair that escaped her ponytail, carry the weight of a life spent pushing forward. She flips a plate onto the serving window and calls, "Patty melt, no onions." Her shift is almost over, but she still has the closing checklist in her apron pocket. Her feet ache. She hasn't eaten since noon. A glance at her phone reveals a missed call from Eli's school. She sighs. She'll listen to the voicemail later. Right now, there are still customers. The bell above the pharmacy door jingles. Claire barely looks up until she hears a voice, low, gruff, speaking softly to the pharmacist. "I'll just take these two. Don't worry about the last one." She turns slightly, just enough to see the man at the counter. He's older, maybe 70. Standing tall, but with a slight bend in his back that age or war might have carved. A faded Marine Corps patch clings to the sleeve of his worn field jacket. His fingers tremble slightly as he reaches for his wallet, then stops. There's hesitation, embarrassment. The pharmacist frowns. "Are you sure, Mr. Jameson? This one's important for—" "I said it's—" "Fine," he says, cutting gently but firmly. Claire sets down the coffee pot she was refilling. Her heart pulls in that subtle, aching way it does when you see something that feels wrong, but isn't yours to interrupt. Still, her feet move on instinct. She steps out from behind the counter. "Excuse me," she says, approaching the register. "Add it to mine." The old man looks over, startled. "You don't have to do that," he says, eyes narrowing in confusion, pride flickering behind them. Claire smiles gently. "I know, but I want to." The pharmacist hesitates, but Claire nods. She pulls a few bills from her apron and sets them down. The old man's eyes linger on her. Not suspicious, just searching. "What's your name?" "Claire." "Claire," he repeats softly. Then after a pause, "Thank you." There's a moment there, not long, not loud, but thick with something unspoken. Gratitude, surprise. Maybe the kind of sadness that only people who've lost more than they can say carry with them. Claire gives him a soft smile. "Take care of yourself." He nods and turns slowly toward the door. As he walks out into the cold, she watches him go, the snow crunching lightly under his boots, the doorbell giving one final chime behind him. She doesn't expect to ever see him again. Back at the counter, she picks up her checklist and scribbles her initials next to "Clean espresso machine." The moment is over. Just another day. But somewhere outside, the man pulls a small, worn photograph from his wallet. A woman with a kind smile and bright eyes. He looks up at the sky. "There are still good people, Ruth," he whispers. Then he slips the photo back into his coat, his fingers brushing over the Marine Corps patch on his sleeve, and walks into the night. Claire's car groans as she pulls into the cracked driveway of their duplex. Headlights slice through the dusk, revealing slushy patches of old snow and a sagging basketball hoop that hasn't seen a game in years. The porch light flickers weakly. She shuts off the engine and just sits, hands on the steering wheel. Breathing shallow. The kind of silence that follows long days and short paychecks. Inside, the house smells like reheated pasta and fabric softener. Eli sits at the kitchen table, a half-eaten microwave burrito on a paper towel in front of him. His backpack slouches on the floor. He doesn't look up. "You eat?" Claire asks, dropping her keys in the chipped ceramic bowl by the door. Eli shrugs. "I guess." She takes a slow breath, leans against the counter, peels off her coat, tries to read the air. "How was school?" Another shrug. This one heavier. "They went to the museum today." The whole class, Claire stills. A flicker of guilt flares in her chest. She remembers the permission slip. The $12 she didn't have last week. She remembers telling him they'd do something next weekend instead. "I'm sorry." she says softly. I said it's fine, Eli snaps, his voice sharper than it's ever been. Claire flinches, but doesn't scold. She nods slowly, like she understands. Because she does. In the living room, her father coughs from the recliner. The TV glows in front of him. Too loud, too bright. He's watching the same Western he's watched 10 times this month, eyes glazed. Blanket pulled over his lap. Dinner okay, Dad? She calls. He nods without looking over. The beans were cold, he mumbles. But the cowboy won. Claire smiles faintly. Same line, every time. She steps into the hallway, peeks into Eli's room. He's curled into a ball under the covers now, back to the door. Her chest tightens. She whispers, I love you, kiddo. He doesn't answer. The next morning, fluorescent lights buzz overhead again, this time in the back office of the cafe. Claire sits across from her manager, Lisa, clipboard in hand. Eyes apologetic. Corporate's making cuts, Lisa says, not meeting her gaze. They're starting with the newest hires. Claire blinks. I've been here 6 years. Lisa sighs. I know, but technically you transferred locations after the merger. On paper, it reset your seniority. Silence thickens between them. The air feels stale. Claire nods. Slowly, mechanically. How long do I have? 2 weeks, Lisa says. I'm sorry, Claire. Claire forces a tight smile, stands and walks out with the same grace she uses to carry plates to grumbling customers. But inside, her stomach is a knot. Her phone buzzes. A new voicemail from Eli's teacher. She deletes it without listening. She knows what it says. Missed homework, lack of focus. All the things that mean he needs more from you. She already knows. Across town, the door creaks open to a small, quiet apartment. Walt Jameson steps in, unzipping his coat, the same faded one with the old Marine Corps patch. The walls are bare, save for a few sun-faded photos and a dusty bookshelf. On a small side table sits a worn wooden box, the kind given at military funerals. He kneels in front of it and opens it slowly. Inside, medals neatly arranged, letters, a folded flag, and a photo of a woman with soft, smiling eyes. Walt holds the photo gently in his calloused hands. She paid for my medicine, he says aloud. Didn't even hesitate. He traces the edge of the photo with his thumb. There are still good people, Ruth. He stands, moves to the kitchen phone, the kind that still has a cord, dials a number from memory. Yeah, it's Walt. A pause. I need a favor. The camera lingers as he hangs up. His hand rests on the old Marine Corps, patch stitched to his coat sleeve. He doesn't say more, he doesn't need to, whatever's coming. It's already begun. The sun drags low over the rooftops, casting long shadows that stretch across the sidewalk like tired limbs. Claire steps out of the office building she just finished cleaning, her breath fogging in the late winter air. Her sneakers are worn. Her hands are raw from bleach and scrubbing tile grout. She checks the time. Nearly 8 p.m. Her shift at the cafe ended 3 hours ago. She's been on her feet for 15. The parking lot hums with silence. No music, no laughter. Just the sound of her keys jingling as she unlocks her aging Corolla. The seats are cold. Eli's booster seat in the back has a tear in the corner, stuffed with napkins. As she drives home, Claire stares blankly ahead. Her eyelids twitch. She catches herself drifting once, just for a second. She slaps her cheek gently. Focus. Almost there. The front door creaks open. Inside, the house is quiet. Dim. Claire drops her bag by the door, kicks off her shoes, and steps into the living room. Eli is on the couch, curled up with a blanket pulled to his chin. A tablet lies on the floor, screen dark. He's not asleep, but he pretends to be. Claire kneels beside him. You didn't eat dinner? She whispers. He doesn't move. She touches his hair, brushes it back. He sighs, just enough to let her know he's awake. But the silence between them has grown roots, deeper every day. Claire sinks into the couch beside him. She doesn't have the energy to cry anymore. Just numbness, bone deep. Her head leans against the back cushion and within seconds her eyes close. The TV hums softly in the background. They drift off like that, together, tired, empty. Earlier that afternoon at the pharmacy cafe, Claire had overheard a conversation while refilling the napkin dispensers. Two women stood near the pickup counter. "You hear about the flag vigil tonight?" "Oh yeah, for that veteran who used to live over on Walnut. They say he served in Nam and Korea. They're lining the whole block." Claire had nodded politely but didn't really listen. Her mind was already on to her next task, next shift, next worry, a veteran, a vigil, just another tribute she won't have time to attend. Across town in places most people forget about, under flickering fluorescent lights of VFW halls and in the carpeted basements of community churches, Walt is in motion. He shakes hands with old friends, men with oxygen tanks and canes, women with folded flags and wooden frames. He sits with high school students in stiff ROTC uniforms, explaining what it means to show up for someone, even someone they don't know. He hands them all slips of paper, a name, a time, an address. Quiet instructions. Some nod solemnly. Others tear up. No one says no. That night, as Claire sleeps, something begins to change outside. First, a few porch lights flicker on, then headlights. Cars slow as they approach Claire's street. People get out, quietly, carefully. Some carry flags, folded and crisp. Others bring lawn signs, candles, photos of loved ones who served. They begin placing them along the sidewalks. Every house, every mailbox. Neighbors step outside in pajamas and coats, unsure what's happening. Some recognize the old man from the cafe. Some don't. But no one stops them. The flags keep coming. They're small at first. Handheld, then full-sized. One draped over a wrought iron fence. Another mounted on a front porch post. Someone hums Amazing Grace under their breath. Another person joins in. It's not loud, not dramatic, just reverent. A quiet tide of respect, and at the center of it all, Walt, standing at the curb across from Claire's house, hands in his coat pockets, watching. Inside, Claire stirs. Flicker of red, white, and blue outside the window catches her eye. She rubs her eyes, blinks, sits up slowly. She nudges Eli. "Hey, kiddo, you see that?" He blinks awake, disoriented. Frowns. They both rise, walk to the front window, and freeze. Claire gasps softly. Their entire street is transformed. Flags wave gently in the night breeze. The sidewalks glow with candles and lanterns. People are still arriving. Older veterans with shaky hands, young kids in scout uniforms, mothers holding framed portraits. Eli whispers, "What is this?" Claire doesn't answer. She's too stunned. But deep down, something stirs in her. A shift. Like something heavy inside her chest is starting to lift. She doesn't know why it's happening. Not yet. But something tells her it's not over. The first rays of dawn stretch across the horizon, painting the sky in soft hues of lavender and gold. Claire blinks awake, stirred by something she can't place. A glow against the window, a distant murmur of voices. She sits up slowly, rubbing her eyes. Eli stirs beside her on the couch, a blanket tangled around his legs. The TV screen is frozen on the streaming menu. Claire glances toward the living room window, then freezes. There's light outside, flickering, moving. She rises, heart thudding, pulls the curtain back just an inch, and gasps. Flags, dozens, hundreds. They ripple gently in the morning breeze. Every mailbox, every porch, each front lawn on her street is a field of red, white, and blue. Candles flicker between the rows, casting halos of golden light across the sidewalk. It's quiet, reverent, unreal. Eli wakes behind her. "Mom?" Claire can't answer. Her voice catches in her throat. A soft knock at the door. She turns. Slowly, another knock. Gentle, steady. Eli pads to her side and grabs her hand. Together, they open the door. The early morning air hits them. Crisp, clean, filled with the faint scent of dew and candle wax. A small crowd stands at the foot of their driveway, veterans in uniform. Some with silver hair, others with youthful, sharp postures. Local high school students hold candles, their ROTC badges catching the morning light. Neighbors Claire barely knows. Families, seniors, even the woman who always jogs with her headphones and never stops to say hello. All stand in silence, facing her. At the center of them stands Walt. He's dressed neatly in his pressed Marine Corps jacket. His hands, weathered and steady, cradle a perfectly folded American flag. Claire's hand instinctively grips Eli's tighter. Walt steps forward, slow and deliberate. His boots crunch softly against the gravel. He meets Claire's eyes. "Claire," he says, voice deep but tender, "I don't think you know what you did." She swallows hard, lips parting but no words come. "You could have looked the other way," Walt continues. "A lot of people would have. But you didn't. That moment at the pharmacy, it was small to you. But to me," he shakes his head, eyes glistening, "it reminded me of the country I fought for, a country that sometimes forgets, but also remembers, through people like you." Claire feels her knees go weak. Her eyes brim, but she holds them back. Barely. Walt unfolds a letter from his pocket and hands it to her with the flag. She takes them both, her hands trembling. "I reached out," he says, "to some folks I served with, people who remember what it means to stand up. For someone who stood up first, and we all agreed. It's your turn to feel seen." Claire stares at the flag in her arms, the corners sharp and perfect. Her lips quiver. I don't deserve this." Walt smiles gently. "You do more than you know." A voice from the crowd calls softly, "Thank you, Claire." Another joins, then another, "Thank you, thank you." The murmurs ripple outward, a quiet wave of gratitude. Eli's eyes are wide. He looks up at his mother like he's seeing her for the first time. "Mom, is this for you?" Claire kneels beside him, nodding slowly. "I think it's for all of us." She holds him close. And this time she lets the tears fall. Walt salutes. Behind him, a young girl begins to hum, "America the Beautiful." A few others join in, their voices soft but sure. The street, glowing with the light of dawn, and the warmth of community, hums with quiet unity. Claire presses the folded flag to her chest. The letter remains unopened in her hand. She's not ready to read it yet, but she will. Soon. The moment lingers. Sacred, and for the first time in what feels like years, Claire feels seen. The morning sun climbs slowly, casting a golden sheen. Across the neighborhood still wrapped in reverent silence. Candles flicker gently in the breeze. Flags ripple like whispers of history and heartache. Claire stands in her driveway, the folded American flag cradled in her arms. Eli at her side, surrounded by a sea of unexpected unity. A small podium has been set up near the end of the street. A microphone, a humble speaker stand. No fanfare, just sincerity. An older man in full uniform approaches the mic. His posture is rigid, dignified. A navy pin glints on his collar. He clears his throat. "Good morning, everyone. My name is Captain Henry Wallace, retired. I served 26 years. I've seen battlefields, I've seen parades, but what brings me here is a kind of bravery you don't get medals for." He pauses, letting his gaze sweep the crowd. "There's a woman on this street who did something. Small but small things. Sometimes change everything. She reminded one of our own that kindness still exists, that people still care. And when one person cares, the rest of us remember how to." The crowd murmurs softly. Captain Wallace continues, voice steady. "She didn't do it for recognition. She didn't know she was being watched. But what she gave, without asking, for anything back, sparked something. It spread, it reached across town. Across phone lines, across our hearts." Claire clutches the flag tighter, her knuckles white. Her eyes brim again, threatening to spill. Eli reaches for her hand. She takes it, holds it like an anchor. Walt steps forward next. His gait is slower now, more measured, as if the moment itself is heavy with meaning. He takes the mic, his voice low but clear. My name is Walter Jameson. I served with the United States Marine Corps. I was a chaplain, which meant I saw the best and worst of people. After my wife passed 2 years ago, I stopped believing in most of it. His voice cracks just slightly. He doesn't apologize. I thought the world had moved on, gotten cold, selfish. Then a woman paid for my prescription when I didn't have enough. She didn't know me. She didn't ask for anything. She just did it like it was the most natural thing in the world. He looks toward Claire. That one act reminded me of everything I was supposed to believe in. It gave me back something I didn't even know I'd lost. Faith. A quiet sob escapes Claire's lips. She covers her mouth, overwhelmed. Walt walks up to her, holding the letter she hadn't yet opened. It's from others like me, he says softly. Some you helped and didn't even realize it. Veterans you served in ways you'll never hear about. But we heard, we remembered, and we came. Claire opens the letter slowly. Her hands tremble. Eli leans in to peek. The camera doesn't show the contents, only Claire's face as she reads. Her eyes flick across the words. Her lips part. Her breath catches. She nods, more to herself than anyone else. It's too much. She breaks down, not from pain, but from release, from years of holding it in, years of going unseen, unheard. She cries into the flag, the letter pressed to her chest. A soft voice rises from the side of the queue. Crowd, Claire? A man in his 50s steps forward. He wears a leather apron over a button-down, the kind a craftsman or small business owner might wear. A patch on his sleeve reads, Veteran-owned. I'm Jim. I run Buckley's Auto down on Grove Street. Been looking for someone dependable for our office admin position. Flexible hours, good pay, benefits. I'd be honored if you'd consider it. The crowd erupts in applause, a few cheers. A whistle from someone in the back. Claire looks up. Dazed. I don't... You earned it, Jim says, smiling. You didn't ask, but you earned it. Eli hugs her waist tight, beaming up at her. Mom, you did it. Claire drops to her knees, arms wrapping around him. Her tears spill freely now, but there's a lightness in them, a release, a deep, unshakable relief. She is not invisible. She is not forgotten. And for once, she doesn't have to carry everything alone. As the camera pulls back, and flags waving, people embracing, the morning sun casting long, warm shadows across a suburban street transformed, a quiet voice narrates. Sometimes, the smallest act of kindness becomes the echo that wakes a sleeping world. Sometimes when you give without expecting, life gives back in ways you never imagined. The days pass slowly, like the first soft breezes of spring after a brutal winter. The world hasn't changed overnight. The bills still come, the dishes still pile up, and Claire still wakes before the sun. But something inside her has shifted. It's Monday morning, and for once Claire doesn't dread it. She stands in front of a modest brick building with clean windows and a hand-painted sign that reads, Buckley's Auto and Office. She takes a deep breath, smoothing down her blouse, her hands still a little unsure, like her heart hasn't caught up to this new reality. Inside, she's greeted by a warm, good morning, from Jim, the veteran-turned business owner who offered her the job. He waves from behind the front counter, grease on his apron, a grin on his face. Claire returns it, a little stronger every time. She settles into her desk, a real one, with drawers and a working computer. A fresh pot of coffee percolates in. The corner. Outside the window, cars hum past. Life goes on. But now it feels like she's part of it again. That afternoon, Claire picks up Eli from school. He bursts through the doors, backpack bouncing, his face flushed from running. Guess what? He says, breathless. Coach Diaz said I can join the youth flag football team, and they're doing a service project with the veterans group, helping clean up the park. Claire laughs, genuine and full. She ruffles his hair. That's amazing, baby. You're gonna love it. As they walk to the car, Eli tugs at her sleeve. Mom? Yeah. Are we okay now? The question stops her in her tracks. She kneels down, brushing a loose curl from his forehead. We're more than okay, she says. We're getting better, one day at a time. A few weeks later, Claire pushes open the door of the local VFW hall. The air inside smells like coffee, old wood, and quiet strength. She isn't here because someone asked her to be. She's here because she wants to be. She brings homemade muffins, helps fold flags, listens to stories. Walt is already seated at their usual table, 2 steaming mugs between them. He nods when he sees her, his face softening. "You're early," he teases gently. Claire grins, slipping into the chair across from him. "You're old. You don't sleep," he chuckles. Guilty. They sit for a moment in silence. "Comfortable. Now familiar, you know," Walt says, tapping a finger on his cup. "What you did mattered. Not just to me. To a lot of people." Claire shakes her head, her gaze downcast. "I didn't do anything special. You showed up," Walt says simply. "That's the rarest kind of special." She looks up, and for the first time, she doesn't deflect. She lets the compliment in, not because she believes she's a hero, but because maybe, just maybe, she matters. Back at home, Claire sits on the porch steps as dusk falls. Eli plays catch with another boy from the block, both of them laughing, loud and free. The sound warms something deep in her chest. Inside, her father naps peacefully. On the couch, she's found a rhythm in caring for him, a tenderness that no longer feels like a burden, but a quiet promise kept. She sips tea, watching the sky fade from amber to indigo. A breeze rustles the small flag still planted by her. A mailbox, the one she refuses to take down. A neighbor walks by, nods. "Evening, Claire," she smiles. "Evening." In her lap, a folder rests. Notes she's been gathering for a small community program she's helping start with Walt and the others. A mentorship circle for single parents and veterans. It's early. Just an idea. But it's growing. Like everything else, because the truth is, she never asked to be seen. She just didn't want to be forgotten. And now, for the first time in a long time, she's neither. Sometimes, her voice narrates softly over the final shot of Eli chasing fireflies. Hope doesn't come in grand gestures. It comes in a hand held out, a voice saying, "We see you." And a quiet answer back, "I'm still here." We often think kindness must be grand. A check with too many zeros, a headline, a statue in the park. But most of the time, it isn't. It's a cup of soup delivered quietly to a neighbor's porch. A ride home in the rain. A glance that says, "I see you. I haven't forgotten you exist." It's paying attention when the world teaches us to look away. And sometimes, it's choosing to act, even when no one is watching, even when you're tired, even when your own life is held together with duct tape and prayer. That's what Claire did. She didn't plan it. She didn't do it for praise. She just reached out, because something inside her refused to go numb. And in that small moment, that ordinary, unremarkable Tuesday at the pharmacy, she unknowingly lit a spark. For Walt, for a community, for her son. That's the strange and beautiful thing about kindness. You don't always get to see the ripple, but it ripples anyway. Golden hour spills across the sidewalk as Claire and Eli walk home together, hand in hand. The street is quiet. Now, the flags are gone, the candles long blown out, but something invisible lingers in the air, like a promise. They pass Walt watering his rose bushes. He lifts a hand, eyes crinkling in a smile. Claire smiles back, a real one, the kind that comes from somewhere earned. Eli skips ahead, chasing the last of the sunlight. Claire pauses, glancing up at the sky brushed with gold and fading lavender. Sometimes, the world breaks you down, but sometimes it reaches back.